The placid surface of Monterey Bay conceals a secret of immense geological scale. Just beyond the shore lies the Monterey Submarine Canyon, a chasm that plunges more than 2 miles into the abyss, rivaling the depth of the Grand Canyon. This colossal trench is not a relic. It is the vital beating heart of the bay's ecosystem. It acts as a massive funnel, drawing cold, nutrient-rich water up from the deep ocean to the sunlit surface in a process known as upwelling. This constant infusion of life-giving elements fuels the vast, swaying kelp forests and sustains the entire food web, from the smallest plankton to the iconic sea otters and the monumental blue whales that come here to feed. What we see as a tranquil coastline is, in fact, the dramatic frontier where the deep sea directly shapes the land. A powerful reminder that the true character of a place is often forged by immense unseen forces. Its story written not just in human history, but in the very architecture of the planet. The great monolith guarding this harbor is not a mountain worn down by the patient hand of time, but the hardened, unyielding throat of an ancient volcano, a stark relic of California's fiery past. Known as Morro Rock, it is a 23-million-year-old volcanic plug, the final and most famous peak in a dramatic chain of 9 sisters that march eastward from the sea in a procession of weathered volcanic domes. Its sheer, dacite cliffs, often shrouded in coastal fog, soar 576 feet from the water's surface, creating a formidable natural breakwater. This magnificent geological accident birthed both a human and an ecological sanctuary in its protective lee, where the calm, sheltered waters of the bay have nurtured a bustling fishing town and one of the most vital estuaries on the coast. This rich ecosystem is a critical stopover for hundreds of bird species on the Pacific Flyway, from the peregrine falcons nesting on its high crags to the egrets wading in the shallows. For centuries, it was a crucial navigational landmark for mariners plying these treacherous waters, with explorer Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo christening it El Morro in 1542. Forever etching its profile into the maps of the New World. To understand Strasbourg is to understand a city built on a fault line, not of geology, but of empires. Its historic heart, the Grand Ile, was the very first entire city center to be granted UNESCO World Heritage status in 1988, a recognition of its profound and complex character. Cradled by the arms of the River Ile, a distinct architectural language unfolds where steep-roofed, timber-framed houses speak of a Germanic past, while elegant sandstone manners echo French sophistication. This is no mere stylistic fusion. It is the physical chronicle of a city that changed hands between France and Germany no fewer than 4 times in 75 years. Every cobblestone and canal seems to hold a memory of this contested identity. Yet, from this crucible of conflict, Strasbourg has emerged not as a relic of division, but as the chosen seat of European unity. A quiet, powerful testament to the continent's long journey from rivalry to reconciliation. To stand here, more than 2,000 meters above the sea, is to witness a geological paradox. The Katpana Desert defies our neat classifications, presenting vast, undulating dunes of fine, white sand in a place where one expects only rock and ice. This is not the product of a hot, arid climate, but of immense glacial power. For millennia, the surrounding Karakoram peaks have been ground down by moving ice, their pulverized rock carried by meltwater and deposited here, to be sculpted by the high-altitude winds. The air itself is thin and carries a persistent chill, a stark contrast to the archetypal desert heat. In winter, the paradox deepens as a blanket of snow settles upon the sand, creating a monochrome world of breathtaking austerity. It is a profound reminder that the planet's most astonishing landscapes are often born from the meeting of opposing forces. A desert created by ice, existing in the shadow of the world's greatest mountains. Interlaken, between the lakes, is a name that describes its geography with an almost poetic simplicity. Yet this simplicity belies a dramatic geological history. For millennia, the Aare River, flowing from the glacial blue of Lake Brienz towards the deeper turquoise of Lake Thun, has been the true architect of this landscape. Carrying vast quantities of glacial sediment, the river gradually built this flat, fertile plain, the Bodeli, reclaiming the land from what was once a single, immense body of water. It is on this alluvial fan, a mere 37 meters above the lakes it separates, that the town found its footing. This unique position, a stable floor in a valley of giants, transformed it from a monastic estate in the 12th century into the preeminent Victorian gateway to the High Alps. So while the eye is drawn upwards to the iconic peaks of the Eiger, Munch, and Jungfrau, the story of Interlaken truly begins beneath your feet, a testament to the slow, persistent power of water to shape a world and create a crossroads for humanity. To truly understand Dunedin, one must first look beneath its streets to the very bones of the land. The city and its magnificent harbor are cradled within the eroded caldera of a massive shield volcano that last erupted some 10 million years ago. Upon this dramatic ancient stage, a very specific human vision was imposed in the mid-19th century. Settlers from the Free Church of Scotland arrived not merely to build a town, but to replicate their distant capital, naming it Dun Aidian, the Gaelic for Edinburgh. Fueled by the immense wealth of the Otago Gold Rush, they carved a near-perfect mirror of Edinburgh's street plan into the steep volcanic slopes, creating a startling juxtaposition. Here, grand Victorian and Edwardian architecture, built with a profound sense of permanence and Northern European order, stands against the wild, untamed backdrop of the Otago Peninsula. It is a city of powerful echoes, a place where the memory of a Scottish dream was permanently etched onto a landscape forged by primordial fire. To truly understand Hokkaido, one must look past the pristine snow and volcanic vistas to the island's very name. For centuries, this was Ezo, a land apart, the domain of the indigenous Ainu who knew it as Ainu Mosir, the land of the humans. Their world was one of deep reverence for the Kamui, the divine spirits dwelling within every river, mountain, and bear. It wasn't until the late 1800s that the Japanese mainland began its systematic settlement, laying down grid-patterned cities like Sapporo in a manner unseen in the rest of the country. This duality is etched into the landscape itself. The untamed wilderness of the national parks, home to ancient Ainu beliefs, sits in contrast to the vast, orderly farmlands that speak of a more recent, pioneering ambition. Hokkaido, therefore, reveals itself not as a monolith, but as a frontier where two distinct histories, one ancient and animistic, the other modern and methodical, have shaped a unique and compelling Japanese identity. Crowning a lone, verdant hill above the San Valley, the town of Gruyère stands as a remarkable testament to continuity. For nearly 5 centuries, from the 11th to the 16th, this single, self-contained street was the seat of power for 19 successive counts of Gruyère. Its very name is a whisper of that dynasty, derived from the French word for crane, the grue, the bird that served as their heraldic emblem. This was no accidental settlement. It was a fortress fiefdom, deliberately positioned to command the valley and the vital trade routes that passed through it. To walk its cobblestones is to understand that the breathtaking panorama was once a strategic asset, a map of dominion where every field and forest represented a source of wealth and authority. The town isn't merely preserved in time. It is an enduring expression of the logic of feudal power, its formidable walls and singular focus still shaping the experience of all who enter. The great Otori Gate of Itsukushima appears to float, an illusion of impossible grace anchored in the tidal flats of the Seto Inland Sea. But this iconic image is born not of aesthetics, but of profound reverence. For centuries, the entire island of Miyajima was worshipped as a deity, its very soil considered too sacred for commoners to tread upon. To solve this, the shrine itself was constructed on piers over the water, a liminal space between the human world and the divine. This ingenious design, first established in the 6th century and refined in the 12th, allows the complex to exist in constant dialogue with the ocean. At high tide, it becomes a shimmering, ethereal palace. At low tide, the waters recede to reveal the massive camphor wood pillars of the 16-meter-high gate, inviting a temporary, reverent approach on foot. The shrine isn't merely a structure built on the coast. It is a physical manifestation of respect, designed to breathe with the tides and honor the sanctity of the land itself. To truly understand Kilimanjaro is to read a geological trilogy written across the sky, a narrative not of ink, but of lava and ice. It is not one singular mountain, but a majestic confluence of 3 distinct volcanic cones, each a monumental chapter in a story spanning more than 2 million years. The saga begins with the oldest, Shira, which once erupted with unimaginable force before exhausting its fury and collapsing upon itself. This cataclysmic implosion left a vast, breathtaking caldera that now forms a windswept, high-altitude plateau, a silent, eroded testament to its explosive origins. Next came Mawenzi, a rugged and shattered spire rising in defiant contrast. Its violent youth, a period of explosive creation, has been weathered by millennia of wind and frost into a formidable, Gothic battlement of dark, jagged rock, a stone sentinel guarding the final ascent. And finally, the trilogy's climax. Kibo, the youngest and highest, whose serene, near-perfect cone formed a mere 460,000 years ago. To traverse its slopes is therefore to walk through deep time itself, with the crunch of scree underfoot marking the passage of eons. The journey is a physical pilgrimage from an ancient, deeply eroded foundation to a dormant, ice-crowned summit that still breathes a faint, primal scent of sulfur into the thin, cold air. A quiet, humbling reminder of the immense, primordial power sleeping just beneath our feet. Lahore is less a city and more a historical manuscript, its pages rewritten by each conquering empire. To truly read its story, one must enter the walled city through one of its 13 ancient gates, which for centuries served not only as fortifications, but as the very arteries of commerce and culture. The monumental Delhi Gate, for instance, was more than an entrance. It was a declaration, a physical and symbolic axis pointing directly toward the Mughal imperial capital. Within these walls, the grand scale of Mughal vision gives way to a more intimate narrative, where intricately carved Sikara Havelis stand shoulder to shoulder with British colonial facades. This is not a city that segregates its past. Here, history is a living texture, a constant presence felt in the narrowness of a 400-year-old lane, the scent of cardamom from a generations-old spice shop, and the enduring echo of 1,000 years of strategic importance. Lahore doesn't just display its heritage, it breathes it, a continuous dialogue between what was and what is. Christchurch presents a profound duality, a city of elegant gardens and Gothic revival architecture built upon a geological knife edge. Its foundation is not solid bedrock, but a vast alluvial plain, a deep tapestry of gravel and silt woven over millennia by the shifting braids of the Waimakariri River. This ancient riverine legacy is the very reason for the city's fertile ground, allowing its English-style parks to flourish. Yet, it is this same unconsolidated ground that amplified the devastating seismic waves of the 2011 earthquake, turning the land itself into a liquid adversary. The subsequent reconstruction is more than just rebuilding. It is a deliberate, citywide dialogue with the earth. From the innovative, seismically isolated foundations of new structures to the poignant, empty spaces where buildings once stood, Christchurch has become a living testament to resilience. It is a place that understands, perhaps better than any other, that true permanence is found not in stone, but in the unyielding spirit of adaptation. The Ishigaki Archipelago drifts at the very edge of Japan's southern frontier, a constellation of islands geographically closer to Taiwan than to Tokyo. This proximity is more than a simple cartographic detail. It is the key to their unique identity, forged over centuries as a vital outpost of the independent Ryukyu Kingdom. The cultural echoes of that maritime trading power still resonate in the local dialect and traditions, distinct from the mainland. But the island's story begins much deeper in time. The very ground here is a testament to this, formed not from volcanic fire, but from ancient coral reefs, tectonically uplifted from the seabed over millennia. This geological origin creates a profound symmetry. The land itself is a fossilized reef, now encircled by the living, breathing coral gardens of today, some of the most vibrant on the planet. It is a landscape that doesn't just display beauty, it narrates a history, a slow, patient dialogue between the ocean and the earth, written in limestone and light. What unfolds before us is not, as the name suggests, a simple impact crater, but the world's largest intact and unfilled volcanic caldera. Some 2 to 3 million years ago, a mountain that once rivaled Kilimanjaro in height exhausted its geological fury and collapsed inward upon itself. This cataclysmic event created a vast, self-contained world, a floor stretching nearly 19 kilometers across, nourished by the mineral-rich volcanic soil and permanent water sources. The 600-meter-high walls that encircle it form a near-perfect natural enclosure, a sanctuary that isolates and protects one of Africa's densest wildlife populations. This geological drama is the very reason for the biological Eden we see today, a unique, concentrated microcosm of the savanna where entire generations of animals can live out their lives without ever leaving its confines. It is a profound reminder that here, the violent death of a volcano was not an end, but the very foundation for an unparalleled cradle of life. Perched at the northernmost tip of Unguja Island, Nungwi is a place defined by a rare tidal equilibrium. Unlike the dramatic coastal retreats found elsewhere in Zanzibar, the turquoise water here remains consistently deep and inviting. This geographical anomaly arises from its unique position, a promontory where the island cleaves two opposing ocean currents, tempering the dramatic ebb and flow. It is this constant, deep water access that has forged Nungwi's soul for centuries, establishing it not merely as a beach, but as the heart of Zanzibar's dhow-building tradition. Long before the first tourists arrived, the shore was a workshop, and it remains so today. The air still carries the scent of fresh timber and the percussive sound of shipwrights shaping mahogany and teak with hand-hewn tools, employing methods passed down through countless generations. It is a powerful, living testament to a culture whose story is written not in sand, but in the very grain of the vessels that have long mastered these forgiving waters. To understand Fiji is to look beyond the surface of its turquoise lagoons and into the deep currents of human history. This archipelago of over 330 volcanic islands was not merely discovered, it was a vital stepping stone in one of humanity's greatest migrations. Around 3,500 years ago, the seafaring Lapita people arrived here, their journey chronicled not in written texts, but in the fragments of their distinctively patterned pottery, unearthed from the very sands that now host luxury resorts. This ancient settlement is the foundational layer of modern Fiji, explaining the unique cultural crossroads where Melanesian roots are interwoven with Polynesian influences. Every silent cove and sheltered bay we see was once a potential harbor for these master navigators, and their legacy of resilience and community endures, a quiet but powerful echo in the warm Bula spirit that greets visitors today. From a distance, the name Castle Point seems perfectly apt. Its towering rock formation, a natural fortress against the relentless Pacific. Yet this is no volcanic plug or granite monolith. It is, in fact, a fragment of an ancient seabed, thrust upwards from the depths some 70 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period. Embedded within these pale, layered walls are the fossilized remains of countless marine creatures, a tangible record of a world that existed long before the first humans. This dramatic geological uplift created not only the iconic castle, but also the sweeping, protective reef that shelters the lagoon below, a rare landform known as a cuesta. Every groove and fissure in the rock tells a story of immense pressure and the patient, sculpting work of wind and water. To walk along its summit is to traverse a landscape born from the ocean floor, a profound reminder that the ground beneath our feet is rarely as static or as simple as it seems. Nestled on a small delta pushing into the southern shore of Lake Brienz, Eiseltwald appears as a village suspended in time. But the vibrant turquoise of the water is no mere aesthetic quirk. It is a direct message from the high Alps. For millennia, the Ahr and Lutschein rivers have carried glacial flour, fine sediment particles ground by the slow, immense power of ice, down into this basin. These suspended minerals scatter the sunlight, creating an opaque, almost luminous quality that changes with the light of day. This geological signature has shaped not just the view, but life itself. The village, anchored by the Seeberg Castle since the 12th century, clings to this peninsula, a small foothold of stability in a landscape carved by colossal forces. Its very existence is a conversation between the transient settlement and the deep geological time held within the lake. To stand here is to understand that the serene beauty is not passive. It is an active, ongoing process, a constant delivery of the mountains to the water, with the village existing as a quiet witness in between. To arrive at Wey-Rebo is to feel as though you have passed through the clouds into another time. The village, a designated UNESCO heritage site, rests in an isolated mountain caldera nearly 1,100 meters above sea level, a sanctuary for the Manggarai people. Its 7 iconic Mbaru Niang, tall conical houses thatched with lontar palm leaves, are more than just dwellings. They are a physical manifestation of a sacred cosmology. Each structure is built upon a central wooden pole, the Ngando, and contains 5 distinct levels, rising from the domestic spaces of the living to the uppermost sanctum, the Hekang Code, where sacred ancestral objects are stored, bridging the gap between the earthly and the divine. This architectural blueprint is a direct legacy from their founder, Empu Maro, who, according to oral tradition, led his people here some 18 generations ago. What we are witnessing, then, is not simply a picturesque settlement, but a living, breathing model of a worldview, where every beam and every level serves to reinforce the profound unity between a community, its history, and its heavens. The great Portuguese poet Luís de Camões famously described this place as "where the land ends and the sea begins," a line that perfectly captures its profound spirit. But this poetic sentiment is forged from a raw geological truth. We are standing on the westernmost edge of the Sintra Massif, a stubborn bastion of granite and igneous rock that has resisted the Atlantic's relentless assault for millions of years. These cliffs, rising a sheer 140 meters from the churning surf, are not a gentle boundary, but a dramatic, forceful conclusion to the Eurasian landmass. You feel it in the ceaseless wind that scours the headland, and see it in the hardy, salt-tolerant flora that clings tenaciously to the rock. For ancient mariners and later, the great explorers, this wasn't just a landmark. It was a psychological threshold, the last tangible piece of the known world before they sailed into the vast, uncertain blue. It remains a place where the immense power of the planet feels immediate and absolute, a geological full stop at the edge of a continent. To truly grasp Istanbul, one must look not to its 7 hills, but to the water that defines it. The Bosphorus is no mere river. It is a drowned valley, a narrow 31-kilometer strait that splits not only a city, but 2 continents. For millennia, this single passage connecting the Black Sea to the Sea of Marmara has been one of the most strategic waterways on Earth, a liquid frontier for which empires have risen and fallen. Today, its deep, swift currents are plied by a constant procession of ferries, fishing skiffs, and colossal tankers, a modern pulse overlying an ancient rhythm. This ceaseless movement is the city's lifeblood, a testament to a geography so powerful it has dictated the destiny of this place since it was first known as Byzantium. The water here is not a boundary to be crossed, but the very heart of a metropolis that has always belonged to both the East and the West, and ultimately, to itself. Born from a cataclysmic collision some 50 million years ago, when the Iberian plate ground relentlessly into the larger Eurasian landmass, the Pyrenees are more than just a mountain range. They are a geological anomaly. Unlike the great north-south spine of the Americas or the arc of the Alps, this chain runs almost perfectly east to west for over 400 kilometers. This orientation is not a mere cartographic curiosity. It is the fundamental author of the landscape's dual character. To the north, moisture-laden winds from the Atlantic are trapped, nurturing the verdant valleys of France with persistent rain and mist. Yet, cross the high passes, and you descend into a different world entirely. The arid, sun-drenched foothills of Spain, shielded from the ocean's influence. This immense spine of limestone and granite acts as one of Europe's most formidable climatic walls, a powerful reminder that the forces that buckled this rock eons ago continue to dictate everything from the course of a river to the development of distinct cultures on either side, shaping a frontier that is as much ecological as it was once political. Yogyakarta is more than a city. It is a living diagram of the Javanese cosmos, a place where geography and mythology are deliberately intertwined. From its very inception in the mid-18th century, the capital was laid out along a sacred north-south axis, an invisible line connecting two powerful natural forces. To the north, the volatile fire of Mount Merapi. To the south, the mystical waters of the Indian Ocean, the legendary domain of the Sea Queen, Ratu Kidul. At its precise center sits the Kraton, the Sultan's palace, serving as the worldly pivot that harmonizes these opposing energies. This philosophical blueprint is not merely an abstract concept. It dictates the orientation of key monuments and ceremonial gateways, mapping a spiritual journey through the physical world. It is a profound testament to a worldview where the urban landscape reflects a deeper cosmic order, an ancient spiritual anchor that continues to ground the city's soul amidst the currents of modernity. The journey into Naltar is a departure not just from the artery of the Karakoram Highway, but into a different geological chapter. This valley is carved not from the granite giants of the main range, but from the remnants of the Kohistan Island Arc, an ancient volcanic chain trapped between colliding continents some 50 million years ago. This unique parentage is the secret to its alchemy. Below the tree line, where dense pine and juniper forests thrive against stark, glaciated peaks, the meltwater begins its work. As it leaches minerals from these specific volcanic rocks, it feeds a chain of at least 3 distinct lakes, each a startling spectacle of color. The most famous, Satrangi, which translates to seven-hued, is no poetic exaggeration. Its waters shift from turquoise to emerald, a direct liquid expression of the valley's complex mineral soul. More than a mere scenic detour, Naltar is a vivid lesson in deep time, a place where the violent, sub-oceanic birth of mountains is not buried in textbooks, but is painted across the surface in impossible, brilliant blue. Founded by Emperor Augustus over 2,000 years ago as Brakshara Augusta, Braga carries its Roman origins as a quiet foundation beneath a city defined by profound faith. This ancient administrative hub, a crucial crossroads of the Roman Empire, now reveals its classical heritage only in subtle vestiges, in the layout of a street, the discovery of a milestone, or the excavated stones of a forgotten villa. For while Rome provided the city's bones, it is a fervent spiritual devotion that has given it a soul. This identity, forged over centuries, has earned Braga the